You ever write what you think is the absolute perfect prompt? You know, a real work of art, only to watch it just completely fall on its face when you try it in a different AI? Yeah, it's super frustrating. But that moment, right there, is what separates the everyday user from the real expert. So today, we're going to move beyond just writing prompts and get into what it really means to master AI.
And it all comes down to this one simple idea. We tend to think of AIs as being all the same, but they're not at all. These are high-performance machines, and each one has its own design, its own quirks, its own purpose. I mean, you wouldn't drive a Ferrari the same way you drive a big SUV, right? The same exact principle applies here.
And look, it's not about some secret magic prompt that you're missing out on. The real secret? It's a total shift in your mindset. It's about getting a much deeper understanding of the machine you're actually working with. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what that looks like.
We have all been there. You've got this prompt that worked like a dream in ChatGPT, so you pop it over to Claude or maybe Gemini, and the results are just meh, or way off topic, or just plain weird. And your first thought is probably, is this thing broken? But the problem isn't the AI. The problem is trying to use one key for every car.
This right here, this is the fundamental difference. The amateur mindset, you blame the tool, you get frustrated. The expert mindset, they see a puzzle to solve. They don't waste time hunting for a magic prompt. They want to understand the system itself. And making that shift from blaming the AI to adapting your technique, that is the most crucial step you can take.
And there's actually a name for this skill. It's called system awareness. Think of it as the next level of AI communication. It's not just about what you write anymore. It's about knowing the AI you're writing for inside and out so you can tweak your driving style and get absolutely incredible results every single time.
Okay, so how do we actually start thinking like an expert? Let's stick with our analogy. Imagine you have this awesome garage, and it's full of high-performance vehicles. An amateur just kind of wanders in and grabs the first set of keys they see. But an expert? Oh, an expert knows exactly which vehicle is built for which job.
So let's break this down. Think of ChatGPT as your Ferrari. It is built for raw speed and pure creative horsepower. It's fantastic for brainstorming and getting those first drafts down fast. Then you've got Claude. That's your luxury sedan. It gives you a smooth, coherent ride, and it has a massive trunk, or context window, which makes it perfect for analyzing really long documents. And Gemini, that's your versatile all-terrain SUV, hooked right into Google's huge information network, making it the go-to for research.
All right, so we get it. These models all act differently. But why? It's not just random chance. There are very real, very concrete reasons behind their unique personalities. And that brings us to our next point.
There's a term for this, AI cohorts. It's really just a way of grouping models based on the core ingredients that went into making them. Understanding this stuff is kind of like a mechanic knowing what's under the hood of a car. It tells you everything.
It really just boils down to these three things. First, their training data. They've all read different libraries of books, articles, and websites, which gives them their own unique worldview. Second, their architecture. Their internal engines are built differently, which makes them naturally good at some things and not so good at others. And finally, their fine-tuning. This is like the final coat of paint their creators add, which shapes their conversational style and their safety rules. Put all three together, and you get a distinct personality for each AI.
So we know why they're different, but how can you quickly figure out the personality of any new AI you come across? Well, you take it for a test drive. And I'm going to give you a simple, super practical workflow you can use to do this in like 3 minutes flat.
This test drive has 3 quick steps, and each one is designed to reveal one of the AI's core traits, its natural biases, its creative spark, and how confident it is with facts. So let's check out the exact prompts you're going to use.
First up, the ambiguity test. What's so brilliant about this prompt is that the word mole can mean so many things. So what does the AI jump to first? The little furry animal? A spy? A spot on your skin? That very first choice tells you a ton about its training data bias. You know, the really advanced models might even ask you, which one do you mean? Which shows they have some system awareness of their own.
Next, we have the creativity test. This is where you find out if you're driving that Ferrari or something a little more practical. Are you going to get some cheesy, predictable rhyme about tin and circuits? Or will you get something that's genuinely unique and maybe even a little moving? The answer here is a direct measure of that AI's creative horsepower.
And finally, the factual reliability test. This is all about measuring the AI's risk tolerance.
Does it just give you the direct, confident answer, 100 degrees Celsius, or does it get all cautious and hedge its bets, explaining all the variables? Now, neither one is wrong, but its answer tells you a whole lot about its fine-tuning and how you should probably approach it for tasks that need hard data. So once you've done that quick test drive, you've got the data you need, you've diagnosed the machine. Now, you're ready to combine this insight with everything else you know about prompting and really truly start driving like an expert.
And that brings us to the biggest takeaway here. System awareness isn't just another cool technique. It's the fifth, and I'd argue most critical principle of AI mastery. It is the absolute capstone skill that pulls everything else together.
Here's why that's so important. System awareness makes every other prompting skill you have way more powerful. It makes your use of context better because you know that Ferrari doesn't need as much background as the sedan. It sharpens your word choice because you know exactly which words will click with that AI-specific engine. It's a true multiplier for your own effectiveness.
But you know, this kind of understanding also puts you in a really powerful position. Because once you can see an AI's built-in tendencies, its default assumptions, its blind spots, you now have the ability to either work around them to get a more neutral result, or to lean into them to get a very specific outcome.
And so that really leaves us with one final strategic question for you. Now that you can diagnose an AI's personality and see its biases, how are you going to use that insight? Will you mitigate it, or will you exploit it? The choice now is yours.